Welcome back to Terror by the Bay. I'm David. Oh, what a day it's been today. Michelle and I played hooky from a lot of responsibility. It got into the low 70s, about 22 degrees Celsius for my European Celsius bearing friends here. And we took out the Mazda convertible and visited my mom, then drove out to the coast and drove down the coast highway uh, down to Santa Cruz area, from San Francisco area down to Santa Cruz and to Capitola, and walked around Capitola for a bit, had dinner uh, in Capitola, and then drove home from that point on. Beautiful day, top down, music blasting, singing, singing car karaoke with Michelle. Just had a good day. It was just a nice day to be out and about doing this. In the Bay Area, we typically get about a week's worth of unseasonably warm spring-like weather, and it happens in the maybe late January, but usually in the February timeframe. It's a little late this year, mid-March, but we'll get like that, and then we'll go back to our normal winter pattern until late April, early May, when this weather starts returning again. So taking advantage of the weather while we had it. Got a little bit of sun, and now I got to do my readings here, and I still haven't even looked at any of the comments from the two videos I put up on this channel yesterday. So I may or may not get to those tonight. I might have a busier day on Sunday catching up with everything on this channel. But thank you. Thank you for your support on it. Today's reading is going to be on Christy Blasey Ford. There's an article in CNN. She's got where she was on a TV show like CBS Sunday Morning discussing the Kavanaugh trial and the changes to her life. And she has a book coming out entitled, let's see, where is it? Poopies. Let me see if I can find it here. Okay, quick pause. One Way Back comes out on Tuesday, where she describes the impact of the Kavanaugh confirmation and on her life. And she kind of is like, it might have been naive, or just, I was like to think, idealistic. She just did not realize there wasn't going to be a gradual step into the public eye. And she also doesn't feel like her story ever got out the way she wanted to tell it. The media portrayed it one way, but she never got to explain why she did what she did from her point of view. So let's go ahead and take a look at Christy Blasey Ford and how her life is going currently, 6 years or so after Kavanaugh got brought into the Supreme Court. Okay, entertainment purpose only. Christy Blasey Ford. How are things going for her right now? Eight of Cups. Trying to stay out of the public eye. I think in some ways by writing this book, she's trying to put a coda to her public appearances. This, as she put it in this article, I just wanted to set the record straight. So this is kind of like here's what I have to say, and I don't want to say anymore. I wouldn't expect her, maybe she'll go on a book tour, but I don't, okay, how do I want to phrase this? She wouldn't want to go on a book tour with this. The publisher, if she has a publisher, they're of course going to want her to go on a book tour to get sales up for her book. But I think ultimately this is like her farewell tour for us. That's what I'm kind of getting from this, and getting ready for the next phase of her life. I didn't know she was a surfer. The article mentions that she was a surfer. She's a professor, a mom, and a surfer. And when you go in the public eye like that, everybody's gunning for you, especially when you're attacking anybody supported by Donald Trump. Anyways, so emotionally leaving, planning her next steps, and moving forward with her next steps. So this is all part of the jam with her. She doesn't want to be in the public eye. She wants to go live her life and leave the drama behind. But before she goes, she's going to set a few things straight. Whether anybody wants to believe it or not, it's up to them. But she knows that she's got her message out there. In the past, we have the High Priestess. You know, for a lot of women were inspired by her testimony, horrified by it. You know, and you know, sort of the whole Me Too movement and everything that she went through with just some drunken dude forcing himself on her. And I do fall firmly in the camp of thinking that she was telling the truth and Kavanaugh was lying through his frickin' teeth. Now, maybe Kavanaugh's so frickin' drunk all the time he can't remember all the shitty things that he does. But I have a sneaking suspicion he remembers enough of them. I mean, because a lot of his college roommates and such remember the stuff that he did. And a lot of people came forward to the FBI for stuff that he did that never got investigated because it went to the White House lawyers, but then anything happened with them. Wonder if anything will happen with it now. No. Nico's getting ready to join the reading here. He had a look in his eyes looking up. How do I jump up there? Current situation, yeah. 10 of coins. This book will sell well. I don't have any doubts about that. But this is a legacy book. This is a book, documenting her legacy, and again, closing the chapter. She wants to walk away after this one, and be done with it. It's going to be a passionate book. You know, it's funny because she was like a neuroscientist or a neuropsychologist, and she could talk about the brain stuff really, really well. I just remember being amused how, you know, you go through the testimony and a lot of the stuff was really emotional with her, but the minute she could explain something, oh yeah, well, when Kavanaugh did this, you know, his brain would do this, and she just goes into science mode and the emotions shut off and she becomes extremely analytical. This is not a dumb woman. This is not some emotionally distraught woman. She's a very bright woman who went through a very traumatic thing and wanted to do the right thing and had no idea the punishment somebody would be given for trying to do the right thing. And now, again, the thing to learn is she's closing the loop on this one. People had strong opinions of her. A lot of people loved her for what she did, thought she was very brave and courageous. Some might say foolhardy, and other people hated her because Brett Kavanaugh, who they don't know, was endorsed by Donald Trump, who they do know. So clearly they know everything about the guy. Get your Brett Kavanaugh calendars here. She's trying to put an end to the anxiety. One last thing to do before she walks away is, to put this out here and then try and end the torture her family's been under. Now, mind you, as this book comes out, and if she's on a tour, there will be a spike of people that will troll her and threaten her and stuff like that because they have nothing better to do with their lives. But, for some reason, I doubt anybody's going to, commit felonies to help Brett Kavanaugh. You know what I mean? They'll do it for Trump, but they're not going to do it for Kavanaugh. What was the spiritual lesson that Blasey Ford was to learn from this? What was the spiritual lesson for her? Okay, I got her name right. Couldn't remember if it was Christy or Christine Blasey Ford. Christine Blasey Ford. Psych professor. What was the spiritual lesson she was supposed to come away from this? I like to use the word idealistic, but maybe I was naive for sure about the consequences and how bad it would be after I testified. What was the wisdom that she gained from this? What is the spiritual lesson from Ms. Ford? Dr. Ford. Her legacy. Her DNA. How she's going to be remembered in history, and she will be remembered in history. And she had a really funny quote here. It was right at the end of the article. It's a very funny quote. Let's see. Here's the paragraph that's funny. It's like, quote, "I wish I had known there would not be a gradual step into the public eye, one that I could navigate on my own terms. I had lived a relatively quiet life as a mom, professor, and surfer. Quite literally overnight, it became a headline news item. With little preparation, my name would forever be encompassed by one image. Me in a navy blue suit I would never normally wear, being sworn in to solemnly tell the truth." It's her legacy, is that navy blue suit. Professor, mom, surfer, and like Anita Hill, somebody who told the truth about the drunken sexual abuses of somebody in their youth who wanted to be a Supreme Court justice. And it's like he never grew up. There's just going to be a 4-carder on this one. Look at all these 10s, bringing things to a close. It's her legacy. She wants to live happily ever after, ride off into the sunset, spend time with her family and her grandchildren, should she ever be blessed with grandchildren, and go on with her life. There's that naive card she was talking about. Maybe she was naive, idealistic. I'm going to start using that. For this card, it's about nostalgia, but I'm going to use idealism or idealisticness. Thanks to Ms. Ford. It gives me a new meaning for this card. This is her being idealistic. The way life should be when we all have the right values, common values, family values. Where's the Republicans in here? You and your effing family values, man. And the Fool card. If this guy did this to any red-blooded patriot with his AR-15 and his jacked up truck and such, and his daughter came home and said somebody like Kavanaugh did that to her, what do you think these knuckle-dragging Neanderthals would do? Oh, it's okay. Boys will be boys. You think that's the answer? That's the part I don't get. That's the double standard I don't get. Any one of these, thick-necked dudes, blue-collar guys, whatever, if somebody did that to their daughter, they'd beat the living snot out of the punk kid that did that to them. Yet here they are now defending this other guy because apparently they didn't do it to their daughter, their sister, their wife, their mother, their granddaughter, their nieces. You know what I mean? What's underneath this is the burden. Oh, God, look at, she's got all these 10s. Holy smokes. Her legacy, living happily ever after, relieving the burden, and then starting new adventures, starting something different. Her spiritual lesson was her legacy, leaving a lasting legacy. She says it was naive. No, you were being idealistic, and that's fine. This was a burden you should never have had to bear, but you bore it, and you bore it well. You lived happily ever after, and now with the Fool card, well, you can't really see the Fool card because the Fool is here and he's back again, trying to steal all the I've lost my train of thought. She did a good job. And I think she's learned her lesson. She's learned her spiritual lesson for this. And this book was the last, literally the last chapter. Pardon me, I'm going to take this card back. Thank you. In this spiritual path. And now she gets to start a new journey, something different. Thank you. I appreciate your cameo. Let's keep it to a cameo, shall we? Nico. Not going to jump up here and let me use you as a reading mat? I'll let you stay up here if you don't move, and then my cards stay there. Will there be any consequences for Brett Kavanaugh? Will there be any consequences for Brett Kavanaugh? A renewed interest in him. Little four-carder. Kind of what's up with him next. Queen of Pentacles. Looking at things of value. Reflecting. He's been lying low. His legacy's set too. His legacy's been set. Mothers and daughters. Grandmothers and grandchildren. His legacy. And then you've also got the money that landed into his lap. The money that paid off his debts. All the secrets behind the monies that were going on. He's, for a Supreme Court justice, he actually has been lying low. Because he doesn't want to be investigated for that money. Just keep lying low. Let everybody forget about that and just move on with whatever your agenda is. But, that moon card is still lurking around. He hasn't lost it yet. So there's still interest in... Thank you. Welcome back. Glad you could join us. There's still interest in this guy and what he's done. But I don't think the interest is going to be fully explored until 2025 and beyond. The Democrats basically have to get control of Congress. There's a few things they need to get done here. And then they can start looking at their Supreme Court justices. But given the Supreme Court's recent rulings on abortion and immunity and stuff like that, there's a reason to take another look at them. Okay. Spiritual lesson for Brett Kavanaugh out of this whole ordeal. What's the spiritual lesson Brett Kavanaugh was supposed to take away from this? Christine Blasey Ford, it's about her reputation, her legacies, and moving on, and all the burdens that she's releasing. What's Kavanaugh's message? Hey, no, don't bite me. King of Wands. To him, it's interesting. King of Wands are about action, and I use this as my Department of Justice card. So what he's supposed to take away from this is, when you're forward thinking, you have to think about your actions downstream. When you're a drunken teenager, you don't think, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, you're going to be in the running for a Supreme Court justice type seat. But there you are. Great power comes great responsibility. And I don't know if I'm convinced that he understands that he is of great responsibility. What supports this? The first card to support the King of Wands is the Drunken Hillbilly Brawl. Could you think of a better card for Brett Kavanaugh than the Five of Wands? Getting drunk, carousing, doing all the stupid stuff he did as a young man through high school and college and maybe beyond. All this stuff that he thought was buried, now his past is drug up as he becomes the King of Wands. Center underneath it is the Queen of Cups. All the stuff that he tried to keep quiet, all the people that helped work with him to keep things quiet, all the stuff that he thought he'd forgotten about. He didn't think about it, so why should anybody else think about it? And his inability to control his emotions. The dude's crying on there. I don't know if he was high on coke or drunk or what, but he was just an emotional train wreck. That was one of the real big takeaways, was his emotional immaturity and his inability to control his emotion. And you want to put him on the Supreme Court. It's such a horrible choice. What's the third thing underneath there? The Tower. How quickly this guy's reputation came crashing down because one woman came forward and testified truthfully and honestly and believably with what he did in his youth. And yeah, he did make it onto the Supreme Court, but I don't, a lot of intuitives don't see him staying long on the court. And what's this guy's reputation? If you had somebody come up to you and say, Brett Kavanaugh, what do you know about him? You know what you're going to say. The dude's a rapist. He's a drunken rapist is what he is. And has no business being on the Supreme Court or being a judge at all. and underneath it all is the Hierophant. And it was there for everybody to see. King of Wands from the Hierophant. Yeah. We... Don't you swat at me. People like seeing you. You want to look at the camera again? Or do you have fleas? Do we have to give you flea medicine? Anyways, so Christine Blasey Ford, to sum up, she's going to move out of public life. She's done. She's just going to clear up a few things, and this was a legacy play, and she learned about a legacy and the legacy that she leaves behind for others, and her bravery spawned a movement in that regard. And now you've also got Brett Kavanaugh. What's he supposed to learn? Your actions have consequences, even if they were a long time ago. But it also showed that how much he hasn't grown as a person in all those years. He's got a lot of learning to do. He's got a lot of learning to do. Anyways, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for watching this video and supporting my channel. Thank you very much for your likes, shares, comments, everything you do to feed the YouTube algorithm to help my video get out to a wider audience. To folks just discovering this channel for the first time, welcome. We don't normally have the cat jump up on the table, but he seems to be getting more and more into such things. And Michelle's cackling downstairs. Cats. But thank you again for you discovered this channel. I hope you found this reading insightful, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.